welcome back to the Nourisher podcast. I am so glad that you're here with us. If this is your first time listening, I promise you are not going to be disappointed by today's conversation. I'm very excited to have one of my, I would say, newer friends to the circle, Natalia Weatherly. A lot of you in this community might know her as a realtor, but we're just going to get into her story and more on a personal level and hear about what she does on a day-to-day basis because, y'all, she does it all. Seriously. So, Natalia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
How's your day?
It's been great. It's sunny, so that's awesome. We're starting to get into fall. I really don't like winter coming from El Salvador, being 24/7 a summer country. But yeah, I love it when it's sunny.
What's the average temperature in El Salvador?
Probably 70 degrees, honestly.
Like all the time?
All the time.
Well, it's like 52 today, but it feels good.
Yes, agreed.
And then you move to a place like Amarillo or Canyon, and our winters are sub-0 degrees with the wind chill. And is wind a factor in El Salvador?
Not as it is here, because wind here is cold. When it's cold, it's cold.
Yeah.
And then it's so dry when it's heat too. And El Salvador is very humid. It's awesome because your skin is amazing. Your hair is amazing. Just everything.
Jealous.
It's crazy because I was born in December, and in El Salvador, it's still summer. So we always did pool parties, and we did like hangouts outside and barbecues. And whenever I moved here, it's winter. And I'm like, wait, so then my birthday can only be done inside. There's no way to be outside when it's in December.
That's so true. I didn't think about that. How depressing.
I know, right?
But also good for you to be able to have good winter birthdays back at home.
Yeah, I'm spending my 30th birthday at the beach in El Salvador.
Oh, so jealous. Yeah. My birthday's in February, and so it's always cold. And
That's
so
true.
I've never done anything like beachy or pool party. I used to be so jealous of my sister because her birthday's in August.
Oh,
and so we would always do pool parties for her or something outdoors. Mm. And in February, we just always had to do indoor activities.
Yeah.
Not to say I didn't have some bomb birthday parties, because I did. Shout out to my parents.
Yeah.
But it's just, I get it.
How old are you?
31.
Okay. What if we did a 35th birthday party and we travel somewhere like summery?
Warm.
Yes. Pool and drinks and espresso martinis.
I like it.
Love that. Okay.
You're onto something there.
We're planning it.
Okay. Well, we kind of already on this, but you are from El Salvador. So I want to talk a little bit about your childhood. What was that like growing up in El Salvador? And then what motivated you to come to Canyon, Texas?
Well, that's actually a funny story. I loved growing up in El Salvador. It was actually really cool in different ways. Well, I think the main thing is in El Salvador, there's several schools. So, and each school is geared towards the country that you will be studying in. So I went to an American school. Then there's like a German school, and then that guides you to Germany. Then there's a French school, etc. So there's different schools, and then your parents decide what school they want to put you in. So my mom went to the American school. So she graduated from there, and it's from kindergarten until 12th grade. So you go in with your entire group of people. So I'm still best friends with my friends from high school because they were my friends growing up.
Yeah.
So it's really cool and very intimate, which was a culture shock for me here, that there's several schools, like for lower school, middle school, high school, etc. And also in El Salvador, you only go to private schools because the public schools are just like very, very low income. And then private schools, you just go to a private school. So the American school was a private school. And most teachers are coming from the U.S. that retire or they just want to go teach abroad, etc. So all of my teachers were American teachers. And it was the American system and everything. So we had a lot of the stuff that y'all had. except like we didn't have a football team. Right.
It's almost like you had a path forward from the very
Absolutely.
beginning.
Yes.
How did your mom, I guess, so she went to the American school and
She went
that's
to the
why
American
she
school.
put you there?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
It was always the plan for you to come to America.
Yes. So my mom and dad both graduated from the United States. Both of them got their masters, and my mom got a PhD.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you know, the goal was to get a master's, but I did a double major. And I told my mom that's all that I could do for school because school is not for me. My mom is a reader. I mean, book smart, amazing. She can read a book in a day. She'll read 10 million books a year. I don't remember the last time I read a book.
We're different.
Yeah, so I listen to podcasts, and I actually this year started getting into Audible and like listening to books, which helps me so much because I drive so much. And honestly, whenever I get home, I don't want to grab a book, and that's not my thing to relax. That's my mom's thing to relax.
I got into reading a couple of years ago, and I can read a book every couple of months.
That's awesome.
I don't understand how people can read 3 books at one time and then finish them all within a month.
Yes.
That's insanity.
My brain does not work that way.
No. What is your mom's degree in?
She's a clinical therapist.
Oh,
yeah.
We love a clinical therapist.
I know. They're very useful in this world.
I would love to have access to more therapists other than the one that I pay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like an unbiased, person that you can talk to. Her being a therapist, like she got me into therapy since I was very young, even though I hated going to therapy. She knew that it was needed in those young ages. So then whenever I got to college, like felt like I was way more mature to come to another country, etc. And with everything that I had, quote unquote, being trained through my therapist too.
Yeah, I can definitely see some pros and cons with that.
Absolutely.
Okay, you said you have 2 majors, correct? Okay.
My first major was graphic design, and then my second major was public relations and advertising with an emphasis in communications.
Okay. My undergrad was in public relations.
Oh, love that.
And I feel like when I went to school, wait, when did you go to college?
2013 until 18.
Okay, so kind of around the same time.
Yeah.
But public relations at that time, we were learning all things social media. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. Snapchat had just blown up. Instagram was very new.
Yes.
We were talking about Meerkat and live streaming. I just assumed that we were going to go and do more journalism or writing. And we were just so focused on social media, website management and development, and a little bit of the traditional advertising. But it's crazy how much it evolved. Did you think that's how it was going to look for you when you got here?
So no. So honestly, at WT, which I love, I would highly recommend WT because they gave me so much and I met so many people through WT that honestly I wouldn't have met. And 99% of my clients honestly feel like have came from WT or somebody related to WT. But graphic design, which is my first major, was more focused on arts. So like I went to like a ceramic class, drawing class, and I had done, which was awesome at my school, which is Escuela Americana in El Salvador. You can choose typical like quote unquote degrees that you want to go to. And I had already done 3 years of graphic design. So I already knew the basics like Photoshop, Illustrator, all of the above that you would use for graphic design. So like I was hoping to dive more deep into it. And that's whenever I decided that I wanted to get my second degree in advertising and communications to just like partner those up. But really my last year, 2018, that's whenever we did our first social media class. I was the photographer for the newspaper at WT. Oh. So literally I was involved with like the newspaper, news, and it still exists, the prayer, which is awesome and I love it. But it's crazy to think about like how many people actually look at newspapers or think about putting ads on newspapers,
Right. I say this a lot when people ask what my degree is in. When I talk about public relations, I tell them you can do so many different things with public relations.
Absolutely.
Although, so I went to school to be a sports broadcaster. Like that was the goal, right? Everybody that I went to college with and the girls who were in the communications world, we all wanted to be Erin Andrews. Okay.
Love that.
So that was kind of the goal. And then I started realizing every girl here is trying to do that. And then I took a nonprofit class and we did a lot of PR strategy and campaigns for them. And I fell in love with nonprofits. I've always had a service heart. So it kind of just led me down that path.
Right. Absolutely. I totally feel it because I wanted to do nonprofits. I started with a group of students at WT Wine to Water because your first semester, your freshman year, you had to read a book, which honestly, yes, I did read the book. 2013. But you had to read the book, and they chose for our year Wine to Water. And it was like about servicing nonprofits and how to bring awareness of clean water around the world. And I've always done nonprofits thanks to my parents. We always went to do Christmas things for the people that need it. And we would bring Christmas baskets to our farm and like have a party for them. Like it was just really sweet. And then I was involved with Shoeing, which is an organization in El Salvador that I actually brought to WT when I was in college. And we collected shoes. And then we did a party for kids and adults to get new shoes for Christmas. Actually, that's whenever my mom would really ask us to make a basket of our toys and our clothes to give them more stuff than just like what we were buying them, like their basic needs. So I was always like involved with nonprofits and I loved it. Served in nonprofits with my aunt too in El Salvador for years since I was a kid. And so I wanted to work for Wine to Water for the longest time. And whenever I thought I was moving to Dallas to do nonprofit work, that's whenever Landon with Moreland Real Estate Group, we were with another brokerage at that time, he hired me. And I was like, oh, I'll just be here for 6 months until I leave. And he goes, okay, just help me for 6 months with social media. He hired me in February. I was sleeping on a friend's couch because I was leaving. And I told him that I was leaving in June, no matter what. Well, in June, he goes, what are your plans? Like, my plan was to work with nonprofits and everything. And I just told him, I said, I want to serve people. Like, that's where my heart is. I want to help people that are needed. And he's like, you can do that with real estate. And I was like, how? And he's like, yeah, you're helping them achieve an American dream, or you're helping them get their biggest investment, or you're helping them move to the next house. And until I sold my first house and got to know my clients and their why and their reasoning, I literally cried on my first closing because I didn't know how much impact I was going to do on a person until that day. And he did tell me, he goes, try real estate for 1 year. If you don't like it, then go do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, I guess a year, it's 12 months, like not much time, you know? And I mean, that year was just absolutely amazing. I met the people that I wouldn't have met through real estate and then have opened doors for every other thing. But yeah, it all came with the love for nonprofits, helping others to now I'm helping people find their dream home, find their first home, move to their next home in different stages of their life.
In the time I have known you, had no idea that you did all of that for Christmas. And I know you have a heart for nonprofits just because of the work that we've done together, but just that was your original plan. And so I did not know that about you. And I love that it's all kind of coming out and everyone else is getting to learn about who you are and what got you into real estate.
Yeah, definitely.
But you're not just in real estate.
Right.
As I kind of mentioned at the top of the episode, you do so many things. I cannot keep up with you at all. So focusing on your path, right, and how it started from a nonprofit focus, now bleeding over into real estate, how has your journey in general motivated you to start kind of all these other side hustles that you do? Because I'm not sure everybody knows about your side hustle, so please plug those babies.
So as my mom would say, I was an entrepreneur since I think birth. And she told me that every time she would take me on a stroll as a baby. The point of it was for me to go to sleep, but obviously I didn't go to sleep. Still to this day, probably don't go to sleep. And I would always wave and say hi. So I was always like that active person, and knowing what like entrepreneurship was as a kid, honestly, I started making bracelets and selling them. And then a lot of the times what I would do is whenever we did nonprofit work with my family, I would buy extra stuff to give away. And it was just like a joy to me to make somebody else happy. And I sold cookies, I sold lemonade, like different things that you can as a kid. My mom had a coffee farm, so, and like super personal, but that was what was going to take us to college for both my brother and I. 2013, like the worst thing that could happen, the farm was destroyed and half of Central America's coffee farms were destroyed.
Oh, wow.
So literally I remember a text message from my mom, hey, the money that I gave you for your first year of college, like that's all I can do, you know? So literally like being from a third world country, like I knew that. Sorry.
Okay.
Like I knew that my parents had worked so hard for me to go through school. And I told my mom, I was like, I'll do anything to be successful in whatever I want to do. My freshman year, I worked at Taco Villa, which was amazing. It taught me a lot of like how to be on time, how to like treat people, customer service.
I just want to note that she said it was amazing working at Taco Villa. If that tells you anything about this girl's outlook on life, because I don't know how many people would say that. So as we're sitting here crying, she's talking about how amazing Taco Villa was.
And to this day, I will eat a beef burrito at guac because it's so good. So my freshman year, I was taking 21 credits and I got 5 jobs because I knew that I wanted, 1, to be successful, 2, that I didn't have to rely on anybody but myself, and 3, I just knew that my dream was to get married and buy a house. So I saved up since 2013 until I got married, until I bought a house, for those 2 things. And I had an account for specifically for that. So I just knew that I didn't want to put that burden into my parents after they had given me the world whenever I was growing up. And I knew that if they needed anything, like I could be there for them and like be able to contribute as much as they had contributed to my life. Every job that I wanted was something that I was passionate about. So I was a photographer for WT. I did event planning for 5 years for WT, and all the events. I started different events at WT, which I heard that they're still going, like Supplies Bingo, and that it was a super successful event. I planned International Week for 3-4 years, 5 years, I think. So all of my jobs were related to something that I was passionate about. I did some social media on the side whenever it had just started. And then I worked for Barzy Winery, and I was their event coordinator there. And it was super cool. I think all of the things that I did in college that opened doors for me, like that's how I continued as an adult. One of my favorite jobs, which I still do it to this day, and I told her I would do it forever, is I work with a New York Times bestseller author, Jodie Thomas, and she's been amazing, like as much as Lane and Moreland has for real estate. They both have became family away from home. Whenever 2020 hit, Jodie let me stay in one of her houses as was fully furnished for 3 months for free. She's like, get on your feet, bring your brother, family first, you know. And Landon always was like, hey, if your family needs anything, if you need anything. They both knew that I didn't have family here, you know. They both came to my wedding and everything whenever it was like a very small, intimate thing in my backyard. So it's cool to see how people become, like, you make people your family, you know, not only the family that you were born into, but the people that you meet in the path that takes you. So yeah, I own a mobile bar called Frost and Fizz, and it's a slushy bar, and I make it in like pouch bags, adult pouch bags, and they're non-alcoholic and alcoholic, super fun. And
non-alcoholic. I don't know.
For kids.
I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, they're super good. I actually started with Chilton, like a blueberry Chilton, because it's my favorite drink. And I just launched espresso martini because that's now my favorite drink. I do photography on the side. I do social media marketing on the side. I became an event planner / wedding planner. So I'm planning a wedding right now and doing 2 day of coordination weddings for two of my clients, but of course, being real estate my full time. And it's cool because in all of my side jobs, I'm still helping people with whatever in some type of way.
You are just, again, a powerhouse. And I applaud you on being able to take on roles that align with who you are and what you want. I feel like a lot of us, especially in college, will get a job just because it's a job. I remember I worked at Bath and Body Works for a week.
Oh, I love that.
But they employed, like, I think there were 30 employees. And so we all got 1 or 2 days a week,
Oh, wow.
part-time. It wasn't meeting my financial needs, but I'm sorry, I'm not passionate about selling people fragrances that are in rotation every quarter, you know?
Yeah.
And again, I remember just having to find jobs based on the pay. So the fact that you didn't let maybe pay determine what you were going to do, if something else came up and you were passionate about it and you were excited about it, you said, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah.
Was there ever a time where you were afraid that maybe you didn't have all the knowledge, or if it was something that wasn't quite in your wheelhouse? How did you tackle that fear of just jumping right in?
I think because real estate is my full-time job and it's my income, like what holds my family together, whatever. But the other ones, at the beginning, I would just consider them a fun thing, like a hobby or something extra. So I didn't depend on that money when it came to it. So it was more of a fun thing. It was more of, hey, I'm going to try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work out, and I've learned a lot of lessons through doing all of them. I don't think I was ever afraid because sometimes I'm in that mentality that money comes and goes, and that opened so many other doors for so many other things. At the beginning, it was more of like, what are people going to think? Are people going to think that I'm not in real estate, whatever. And really, no, I've had several real estate clients send me referrals for my other businesses and vice versa. I've met several clients for real estate from my other businesses that became my real estate clients. So honestly, it's intertwined. I don't market it. It's more of like, who knows about it will hire me. I think the most fearful I was becoming a real estate agent, not knowing what that is, because like in El Salvador, it's not how it is here. Whenever real estate honestly fell in my lap, like it was a God's wink. And I remember this conversation with my parents after I had that meeting with Landon. I don't know if I just want to take that just because it was easy and quote unquote like handed to me, which obviously it was not handed to me because it's not easy. And my mom was like, just try it out. You try so many things, and like if you're good at it, awesome. If not, that was a chapter that you learned your lesson, and then you try something new. So being in college, like I tried so many new things in different areas that I was like, okay, you're right. I'll try for a year and see how it goes. Because at that point in 2019, nonprofit jobs like Wine to Water honestly was not hiring at that point. I wanted specifically to work with that nonprofit and was gonna wait until they opened their positions, but that also meant moving. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to move outside of Texas. I wanted to stay in Texas, which is so funny because whenever I was looking at colleges in El Salvador, I told my dad that I would never move to Texas because he graduated from Texas A&M. So
Oh, that's why.
so I literally was like, no, I don't want to be in Texas. And he goes, just try it out. Like it was awesome. I never told the story how I ended up at WT. Like I said, my dad is an Aggie, and I was in between Louisiana, WT, and Oklahoma. And my dad is like, well, if I went to Texas, you should go to Texas. I was like, hey, okay, sounds good, cool. And we thought that West Texas A&M University was down the street from Texas A&M. And whenever we got on the plane to come to Amarillo, Texas,
Absolute shock.
yes, my dad looks at my mom and he out of the window goes, yeah, I don't know where we're at. I legit was like, what? So that's literally how we landed in Amarillo. Obviously, my parents are very knowledgeable of the world. They have traveled everywhere. We just never thought to look into Amarillo. Another God wink. We rented a car, got to WT. We parked and we were just walking in the Buffalo Fountain. And there was this student came towards us and goes, are y'all from here? And we're like, no. And my parents started saying like, oh, we're from El Salvador. She's a freshman at WT. And he was a student worker at one of the offices that helps with recruitment and stuff like that. And he gave me his phone number, was like, if you need anything, if you want me to take you to Walmart, both my parents were like, this is the perfect place for you. And as soon as we walked into the JBK, there was this girl, and she was from Mexico, and we were talking like that I was from El Salvador, etc. Did the same thing, gave me her phone number, said if I needed anything, like she could help me out. That's how I got involved with the Hispanic Student Association, which I still help to this day as an alumni. And that's also whenever I asked her as a senior, if you could give a freshman advice, what do you think that I should know? And she goes, get involved with everything and anything that you love. And from there, your doors will open. It's who you know, not what you know. And that, I took it literal and got 5 jobs to whatever I wanted.
She loves bean burritos, therefore worked at Taco Villa.
Literally. And that just ingrained in me. I was like, I can do anything if I put my head towards it. And going back to like birth, like my mom almost lost me. So like she's always told me that I'm a fighter and that I can do anything because I was born. Because on the 7th month, if I'm not mistaken, the doctors told her that I would be blind. I would have no hands, no legs or anything, and that my heart could be working. Whenever I was born, my mom was like, she's perfect. I was fully born with everything. My mom said always that I was also her miracle because she lost a baby before me. And the doctor told her you cannot get pregnant within a couple of months, and she did with me. So I always had that in mind, that I could do anything and everything because I was born. So
that might be the most profound thing that I've ever heard. Your mom, oh my gosh, so strong. And I love that you have her as an example and that she encourages you to chase your dreams, even if it is a little scary, because I think that's where a lot of us fall short is we say, we're not great at this, or I'm not 100%. And so we don't even try. It does take a special kind of someone to truly believe that you'll pick it up. Like the sky is the limit.
Absolutely.
You can learn, you can grow, and you can do anything because you were born.
Yeah. I rely on my mom still to this day whenever I'm 29 years old. She is and has always been my rock and always been like my cheerleader. I know I can do anything and everything, and she will always remind me on that. She let me grow by myself, but was always there for me. She never told me what to do or what not to do, which there was a lot of things in college that I was like, you could have told me this. And she's like, no, you needed to learn, and make mistakes. And this is the time to make mistakes. She told me, you're turning 30 and I'm so excited for you. And I was like, okay, why? And she's like, because now you're mature. You've made all the mistakes that you wanted to make and could make. And now you're an adult. And I'm like, okay, therapist.
If that was true, I feel like all the mistakes I've made at 31 should just be erased from my hard drive.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's what I was afraid of. Not about afraid of starting anything. It was more afraid of asking for help, which has taught me a lot in real estate, that it's not about me doing everything. It's more about me asking for help. And because of the mentality that I'm like, I can do anything at every time, I always thought that I had to do everything by myself. And now it's like open more doors whenever I do ask for help, or I can be like, actually, I don't know how to do that, or actually, can you teach me how to do that? And asking for more advice or asking for more help now, which if I would have learned that a long time ago, it would help me out a lot. But, you learn your lessons.
So when you were talking, it brought up a question for me, because asking for help, it's so important, one, as we dive into something we're not quite sure about, but also asking for help as it allows us to make time for ourselves.
Correct.
So my question is, how in the world do you make time for yourself with all the things that you do? I know you love everything that you do and you're passionate about it, but there has to be a time where you're just ready to lay down or soak in a bubble bath with candles and the complete quiet.
That I can bring it back to my husband. How I recharged, I would say before I met him, how I recharged was hanging out with people. So everything that I did was hanging out with people. So I literally would probably get home at midnight or, be working until midnight, which I did a lot in 2020. And I would just do it again the next day and the next day and meet with more people and meet with more people, which was good for my business. But I didn't know how to not do that until I met Ryan. Because at that time, he was working 8 to 5 and he could unplug and would not answer calls, at that time because he didn't have to. And whenever he met me, I think like our first, not argument, but discussion, he straight up looked at me. And mind you, by this point, I loved everything I did. I was really happy being single, so I didn't even know what it was coming from whenever we were dating. We went on a date and he goes, "You work too much and don't think about yourself." And I straight up looked at him and I said, "Well, this is going to be my life. So we're going to have to figure this out or it's not going to work out," type thing. Then in the next month he goes, "Well, if you're not in it, I'm out." And I was like, okay, so maybe I have to change something. So I stopped working until midnight, which honestly I needed to.
Now I work until 11:42.
It was, which my parents would always be like, "You need to stop working, you need to stop working." And it was him to be like, "Hey, you actually need to set boundaries. You need to do this, And it opened my eyes to like, you are right. Like past 7 p.m., I shouldn't be doing work. I should be relaxing. Relaxing has not been a word in my vocabulary. So it's been really hard to figure out like a work-life balance. And I feel like 2024 now, after we've been married and everything, I can see what work and life balance has been. I felt like at the beginning I was hustling, and I had to do that to grow my business, which I'm very thankful that I did at that time. But now I'm trying to figure out the work and life balance and actually setting an appointment to go to the gym, setting a massage, going to get my nails done, things that relax me. And also before I met Ryan, I would not watch Netflix or I would not watch movies. That was not a relaxing thing for me. Like I would be working and watching something in the background. So it was cool to hang out and be like, "Hey, do you want to watch a movie?" and actually watch it. And now I love this season of Christmas because I'm obsessed with Christmas movies. So now I will be like, "Hey, whenever I get home, let's watch a Christmas movie," and like stuff like that. Do Not Disturb has been my best friend for the past couple of months. Just remembering that a house will not catch on fire that day if one thing is not done by 8 p.m. Like it can wait until 8 a.m. the next day. It's been a hard lesson. I would say that. That's been probably the hardest thing in my business. So, yeah. So if you have any tips and tricks, like please send them my way.
Gosh, I wish I had tips and tricks because I am the same way. My therapist at one point had mentioned, let's try something. Let's start your Saturday mornings when you wake up and you drink your coffee. Leave your phone in your bedroom and go sit in your living room and do something that doesn't involve a screen. Because, it's so easy to wake up on Saturday morning, grab your coffee, and then I'm just scrolling TikTok or I'm looking through Facebook. It just kind of started my day off all wrong and got me into so-and-so's at their kids' ball game right now. Natalia is doing an event this morning. Megan's over here doing this and so-and-so's doing that. I need to get off my butt because I have nothing planned for today and get busy. She said to start 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I started reading a book or I would journal. And then pretty soon I enjoyed it so much that I would set a timer and it would go off in the other room. And I was like, 30 minutes went by that fast?
Yeah.
So then I would bump it up to 45 minutes. And then I would bump it up to an hour. When I did, I was so grateful. And it allowed me to do the things that I wanted to do for myself. Like I wanted to finish a book in less than 2 months. I wanted to do that. And so those moments, it allowed me to do those things, but also to process emotions I was going through, reflect on certain situations and conversations that maybe I was distracting myself from. And it was a complete game changer for me.
Absolutely.
So other than that, I think you mentioned adding it to your calendar and blocking out time.
Absolutely. I was the same way. I mean, I would work Monday through Sunday, every day, every week, And if I didn't have something in my calendar, I would make sure to add something to my calendar no matter what day it was.
Oh my gosh, I feel that. I do that so often.
Yeah, and it got to the point that I was like, why do I need that? Like, I don't need that. Where's my time to recharge by myself if I need to do by myself, whatever. And I would just get like antsy, like, oh, I don't have anything on Saturday morning. Okay, I need to schedule something like a showing. Let me see who wants to go see a showing. Let me see who wants to do an appointment. Stuff like that. And now I have to be like, it's okay. It's okay to have a free morning. I'm working so hard for my clients and I don't want them to feel like I'm not working hard for them. But then I'm like, I show them in different ways that I work hard for them. I don't need to have my entire calendar 24/7 scheduled to show them that I'm working hard for them. One of my real estate mentors told me this, and it opened my eyes completely. She told me, she goes, if you have an appointment, no matter if it's real estate, no matter if it's a lunch date, no matter if it's a massage, if it's your therapist, whatever it is, if it's personal or business, if you have something already in your calendar, you can tell your clients, hey, I have an appointment, and you don't have to specify that it's an appointment for yourself, an appointment for your dog, an appointment for your gym. It's an appointment. I only have to tell my clients, hey, I already have an appointment set at that time. Let's schedule for another time and like give them a different time frame. Before, I would always be like, oh, I need to cancel that because that's personal. I need to focus on my clients. And now, like, that's how I've started work-life balance. Like, if it's on my calendar, no matter if it's personal or no matter if it's like a client, like, I need to follow my calendar, So yeah, that's helped me quite a bit, and I'm hoping to keep doing that and be better at it, and not feel guilty that I'm doing something personal for me.
I will take your advice and you take mine, and
that's perfect. I love it.
Feedback.
Yes.
We'll have another podcast session on our results.
Perfect. In 2025, like mid-year.
Yes, I love that.
See how our self-care goals are going. Keep each other accountable.
I like it.
Yes.
Natalia, you are seriously an inspiration in so many ways. I learned so much about you today that I didn't know before, but I just think you pursue your passions truly without fear, and that is just not something that everybody is brave enough to do. So I hope you feel brave.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Here I am. I'm crying. I told her I wasn't going to cry. I just hope that you know how brave you really are, because from the start when you got here and how you supported yourself to return the favor to your family, but then continue to keep your passions and your priorities at the forefront of what you do and who you want to be to the people around you, and how you truly do still have a servant's heart, even though you're in these areas that aren't necessarily a nonprofit. I just hope you know how much of an inspiration you are to me, but really to a whole lot of people.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
So the first question is, what is something that not a lot of people may know about you?
Goodness. Okay. So a lot of people, I don't start like, hey, I'm from El Salvador and I speak Spanish, because if you see me, I look white as can be. And during the winter times, more. So that's probably not a fun fact because a lot of my friends do know it, but I'm starting to like put it out there, like, hey, this is who I am. Actually, one of my clients was the one to make me aware of it. I never said that I was bilingual whenever I started as a real estate, because in my mind, nobody else is going to want to work with me if I say that I speak Spanish, And one of my clients that spoke Spanish, he was a referral, and he didn't know that I spoke Spanish, but he spoke both English and Spanish. And there was one conversation that I said in Spanish, and he goes, "You speak Spanish?" And I was like, "Yes." And he goes, "Do you market that you speak Spanish?" And I was like, "I don't." And he's like, "Why?" And in that moment, I was like, "I don't know." He goes, "That is so good for you. Living in Amarillo, that you are bilingual, it is huge." And it was mind-blowing. Like, I know I'm bilingual. I know I speak Spanish. Like, why am I not marketing it that way? And since then, literally the next day, I redid all my marketing to make sure that people knew that I'm bilingual, make sure that I always say that I'm a bilingual real estate agent and stuff like that. And it was just like a mind-blowing thing. Like, I should market myself as who I am, not try to hide it.
Well, my second question is, who are 3 women that you either look up to or that inspire you?
Honestly, that's an easier question than the first question.
Right?
So 3 people that inspire me and I really look up to are, 1, my mom. 100%. She's been my rock, I literally always tell her I just want to be like her. And I always tell her too, is like, I don't know how I'm going to be a better mom that she was. And it's crazy because my mom was like, I never knew that I was a good mom until you've been telling me this. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you have been, like, she's just been there for me 24/7, no matter what. I'm not going to lie. I'm afraid to become a mom and not know how to be like her. And then Jodie Thomas, she is absolutely amazing, an inspiration to a lot of people as a New York Times bestseller author. But as in a personal level, like, she took me in like her daughter since day one that I started working for her. So definitely an inspiration when it comes to goals. I mean, she knew what she wanted, knew what she needed to do for it, and followed her dreams, her goals to everything. Even now, to this day, that she's about to release a Netflix series, and that was her final goal. And then Tally Hunt, she is a badass real estate agent in South Carolina and has been a mentor to me through social media at the beginning, and then now I pay her to be my mentor. But she's just an inspiration of everything she's done with real estate and giving back to the community, how to treat clients and what to do with clients. And now this following year, how to do more of like a work-life balance and being okay with having a work and life balance.
I'm going to have to look up Tally Hunt now.
You do.
I'm not in the real estate world, but man, if you live that far away and caught your attention and now she's your paid mentor.
Yeah.
If I had to pay for all the people I consider mentors, I'd have $0.
Well, she has a coaching group called Mom Word. And she invites people, agents that are not only moms, but that want to become moms or want to have that mentorship. It's amazing. So any class or anything that she puts out, I'm like, bye.
Well, like I said, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. I know sometimes those aren't easy conversations to have, but I just really appreciate you being willing to be vulnerable and open.
Thank you for having me. I love this, and I wish you success with this podcast. I so believe in you as much as you say that that I'm an inspiration. You've always been an inspiration to me with so much that you do and so much that you have in your plate, and also seeing you like be so successful in the things that you love. I think our word for 2025 should be no, because we say and are so good on yeses. Like, we're both go-getters. We're both wanting to do good for the community, good for people. But we also need to say no to invest in ourselves and invest in us and grow us as a person and not just try to grow everybody else. So I'm so excited for you and this and can't wait to see it flourish. I love you so much.
Yes, I love you. And for anybody who wants to follow along with your real estate page or your personal page, tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So my real estate page is Natalia TX Realtor, and that goes for Instagram and Facebook. And then if you want to follow my personal is Natalia MW14. Actually, on my real estate page, I mostly hit on first-time homebuyers, tips and tricks, everything that you should and you shouldn't do as a first-time homebuyer, even before you even start the pre-approval process, until the end of things of like what you wouldn't think about after closing, like changing your locks, etc. So yeah, follow me for more tips and tricks and anything Amarillo. I love doing local events like girls' night events that I do monthly and getting more girls involved and getting to know each other, because it's who you know, not what you know. And I love supporting small local businesses and partnering up with them. So definitely follow me and would love to follow you back.
Well, if you've enjoyed today's episode and you want to hear from more amazing and inspirational women in the Texas Panhandle like Natalia, then like, comment, subscribe, and share with your circle. Remember, together we can continue to nourish the strength in one another and empower each other to chase our dreams unapologetically. Until next time, stay strong, stay connected, and keep growing.